Hey, good morning. Thank you for joining another Worlds of Wow Facebook Live. Today, this is episode 7. We're going to be talking about pediatric dental offices, and we'll be discussing theming hallways and bays and really the benefits of doing so. Joining me once again is the creative director at Worlds of Wow, Kevin Cravens. If you have seen the Worlds of Wow designs online, on Pinterest, on our Facebook pages, Instagram, Twitter. By the way, if you're not following us on those mediums, make sure you do that, as well as we're putting a lot of content on YouTube. So be sure to follow us there. But Kevin Cravens is the creative director joining us once again. Good morning, Kevin.
Morning.
Super excited about today's episode and really the benefits of carrying designs from just an entry throughout the entire space. We have some really exciting projects to show you today. Again, I go back to my experience when I was a kid at the dentist. We walked into the lobby, it was white. We went into the dental area where you sat in the chair. The chair was white, the room was white, the doctors were wearing white, the nurses were wearing white, and man, I hated going to the dentist. Thankfully, I didn't have any cavities. My parents didn't let me drink soda when I was a kid, but I didn't have cavities until I started drinking soda when I was, out of my parents' house. So, anyways, long story short, today is how do we remove anxiety? What are some things we do? What are some techniques that we use? And Kevin, thinking about where do you start? A lot of times, even I met with a pediatric dentist in Dallas a few weeks ago, and the question was, where do we start? How do we, where do we even begin? And, thinking about that, that's probably a good place for us to start today's conversation of, we're talking hallways and bays, and we're talking about how do we even come up with a design for that space? If we're sitting down with a client, what would you tell them if they say to us, hey, we're thinking about a design, but where do we start? What would you say?
Sure. Well, so, I'm kind of going to bring up budget right off the bat, and not just because it's all about the budget, but for most of our clients, they're coming to the table with a finite number of dollars, right? A pretty defined budget of what they have to transform the space. So there's that. Plus, we want to address the whole space. So how do you do that responsibly with the money that you have, right? And so I think what the formula we've found that really works, and where we get the most impact for our clients, our customers, or the people visiting our space, is to really be intentional about focusing those budget dollars in specific areas that get the biggest impact. Versus, I think maybe 5-10 years ago, it was kind of trying to do a little bit everywhere. You spread it all out. The problem with that is you might kind of hit every area with something, but if everything's just a little bit of something, then it's kind of underwhelming and meh, right? And doesn't create that impact. I don't think you get that return on your investment. So I think for us, typically, the lobby is going to be a big focal area, a big spot to kind of go big, right? And really the thinking is, when a kid and family walks through the door, that's your first impression, right? That's your first opportunity to define what the experience is going to be like, right? So if you're going to have any 3D or any build outs or anything kind of crazy, that's the place to do it, right? I mean, the most number of eyes on it, that's probably where people are most of the time. I think sometimes we've done it, Todd, where, it's even backing it up before you even come in. And so window graphics or, exterior photo op areas or signage, big over top signage are opportunities too but I would say even then that's more to kind of give a little hint, to give a little taste of what's going to happen when you walk through those doors. So in short, the lobby area is probably the place to start and focus.
So you have some lobby pictures of some really fun projects that we've done to show. And quite frankly, this specific one, I had a conversation with a daycare in Pittsburgh yesterday, and I'm sorry, 2 days ago on Wednesday. And she referenced this design that we did and really, really liked it. Maybe can you talk a little bit about the inspiration behind this and how we got to this point? Sure.
Yeah, so they, obviously it was a bit of a bayou theme. And so, what I love about this project is, a lot of times some companies come in and they're going to do a portion, right? They're going to do the wall graphics, or they're going to do some of the finishes. Another company to provide the furniture. And so what I really am proud of with Worlds of Wow is, we may not provide the furniture. We're not going to, install your flooring for you, but we look at your space from, top to bottom, front to back. And so, giving direction, partnering with your other vendors to provide color direction and finishes selections that kind of work together to create this overall immersive theme is something that's really important to us, right? So you can even see, here some of the blues chosen with the seating, or even some of the red pulled off of there, and the green. I mean, it's all palettes that are, kind of pulling colors off of the actual theming, right? And then the rustic wood floor just kind of works to bring it all together, just with kind of that rustic, kind of worn down bayou sort of theme, right? So when you walk in here, you're instantly transported to somewhere else that's alive, that inhabited by all these animals having fun, and so you're somewhere else in this lobby. You're not at the dentist office, right?
Yeah, I love the fact that was, it's floor to ceiling in the sense of it's a wood floor, gives you that feel. And then, to me, one of the greatest, one of the coolest parts of the design are the theme ceiling tiles. You feel like you're under in a canopy of trees. That I love that.
Yep. Yeah, I think anytime you can take the theming off the walls and put it on the floor, put it on the ceiling, you're only further creating that immersive sort of experience, right? And transporting the kids somewhere else, and and again, not at the dentist office. So yeah, sometimes it is just being intentional with the flooring, like we did here. Sometimes it is taking those tiles and theming them out a little bit, right, to carry on that theme. So this will be the lobby space, right? So obviously a lot of the budget dollars are focused here. I may have pulled in the picture. We'll see here in a second. But if you turn around, we actually have an alligator kind of with his arm. He's sitting on one of the benches with his arm out. So it's kind of a photo op area for mom and the kids when they're leaving, right? Which is a great branding opportunity as well. But if we're talking hallways, I think on this project maybe we went we did a little more in the hallways than we typically would do. But if you're going to focus most of those budget dollars in the lobby area, you still want to save some of those budget dollars, but you can kind of scale it back a little bit, with the colors, the wall colors, just pulling some elements from that lobby area to kind of continue the experience just without going crazy, right? But here, at the end of the hallway, yeah, we obviously built out a little shack, and got the dog hanging out there, kind of pulling the kids down, inviting them over. But it's all leading to this open bay area right here. And again, there's obviously a big 3D tree. It's kind of a seating area. You got some seating around it. You got some playthings that can happen, just as a pediatric dental office. So kids coming and going, kind of waiting. Maybe mom's there with, the little guy while, her older brother is up on one of the chairs, right? So plenty to kind of keep people occupied, and just kind of create that sense of whimsy, and just kind of taking kids somewhere else other than, in the chair at the dentist office, right? But you can see here even, definitely it's not as dense, definitely scaled back the theming, but just, kind of being intentional about the colors. You kind of see here, even with the ceiling tiles, again, kind of went from the leaves to the sky. It's still all working together, creating that cohesive experience from the front to the back.
Yeah, I think obviously getting from hey, let's sit down and talk, to the finished project, of course, is a lot of work. A lot of times I think there's a myth of Worlds of Wow is going to come in with their own ideas and make it how we think it should look. But in reality, that's not quite the case. We sit down, we do some really deep dives to understand the client thinking of this specific theme. I have to believe in this project that, this is relative to their community.
Yeah, I think we're really passionate about the idea. Not everybody's like that. I guess I just thought all companies kind of operated how we did, but that's just not the case. But yeah, for us, it's important, to be frank, if a client's working with us, that's your money and that's your vision. And so I consider it our job to come alongside you and help clarify and define that vision. And then, how do we make that vision come to life with the budget and the space that you have, right? And then, yeah, these areas, it's not just to make a cool area, right? That's a part of it. and we're really good at making cool stuff. But for what we're really passionate about is, we really believe that this physical space has the ability to have a positive impact on your community. And so to make that happen, a part of it is we don't know your community. So it's coming alongside you, asking the right questions, doing more listening than talking, and helping us understand your community from every different angle. And then building a theme around that that your community is going to respond to, and that we can do some good in your community.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the end result is truly something amazing. And even thinking about that, yeah, we're very sensitive and understand and appreciate people's budgets, and understand that their investment is significant. So it's really helpful. So we were talking about the lobby, and starting with the design in the lobby, and then I think the word we use internally a lot with our teams, it's intentional design. It's utilizing really focused interior design approaches so that we don't have a lot of different looks and feels. We want that to be cohesive from the moment you walk in and then throughout. And especially thinking about a pediatric dental office, how do we reduce the anxiety? How do we make going to the dental office fun? And quite frankly, in the pediatric dental market, it is really competitive. So how do we help a client set their office, their business, their franchise apart? So you talked about the design in this specific bay, Kevin, but talk about maybe the process of, okay, we focus on the lobby, we establish that look and feel, and how that carries through and carries out through the hallways into the bays as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. So it's kind of what we talked about in the lobby. I mean, that lobby space, if that's going to be your biggest impact area, I mean, we're just kind of going to go over the top there. Then it's really, it's nailing, that's where you're going to establish the story. So, if it's a themed area like this, where, it's a bayou adventure, just with different critters, or if it's more interior design kind of focused, you want to nail down that story and the through line, right? And then it's the colors, it's the finishes, it's some of the shapes, and it's taking all of that. And once we have that, then it's pulling that into the rest of the space in some intentional ways. And so even on the smaller budget side, if it's a-okay to focus all those budget dollars on the lobby, and we're going to create that impact, right? And we're going to create that impression, and we're going to ease those anxiety for those kids. And then the hallways and the bays, we're going to do base coat paint colors, that work with the palette that was established out in the lobby. So I'd say that's the biggest opportunity. And then just even with some of the, the chairs or other furniture, other equipment, I understand a lot, maybe color options aren't always readily available, but those are even good opportunities to continue that cohesive kind of look through the space, right? So maybe some of the chairs could have a pop of color to them. Baseboards are opportunities to add those pops of color to it, right? So for sure, Worlds of Wow. It's establishing all of that, and then working with all the vendors involved to really pick products and install things that are kind of all revolving around the same idea to create that cohesive look. So I think it's, so whether you have 500,000, 50,000, 5,000, if you nail down that story, nail down the look and the feel, nail down that palette, some of those finishes, you can do something compelling with your space.
Yeah, I love that. I love how we have interior designers on our team that help, along with your direction, Kevin, to help pull all that together. So it all looks like it was well thought out. Yep. And very intentional. Oftentimes conversations I'm having with clients, they're talking about, hey, we're already thinking about flooring options, and typically, I will say, hey, you know what? Have you selected that yet? Because we would really like, if you partner with us, we'd really like to speak into. While we're not a flooring company, we don't install flooring, we want to speak into the look, because it really sets the tone as well, especially the flooring for the rest of the space. So this is another. I'm sorry.
Yep. So we got a few minutes, but I'll just end with this. So this would be an example from another client of ours. Is they had the seating already there, and obviously they didn't want to make that investment because it was still good, still worked. And so it's kind of subtle, but the theming we did, obviously turned it into a pirate ship, and you got the pirate crew having some fun here. But just even instead of a blue sky, kind of doing a sunset and pulling some of the purple up into there, or just even some of the colors on the ship. It was done intentionally to make sure that it was working with some of the existing things going on. And in this case, the seating, right? So, a lot of times, we'll see customers even maybe sometimes do it on their own or hire somebody else. And, it kind of, you can tell everything was done separately and independent of each other, right? But again, this would be an example of working with what's there, working with other vendors to kind of pull it all together in terms of the color and everything else. So I'll just kind of walk through some of this. That was the younger kid side. The older kid side, they made an investment doing some different photo op areas. So this was kind of along the coastline, but this was more kind of a beach theme sort of thing rather than the bayou, right? But yeah, just branding opportunities here in the waiting area, X-ray rooms, turn it into kind of a beach storefront sort of idea. And so again, it's kind of giving those moments for the kiddos to ease those anxieties, ease those fear, helping them forget that they're maybe at the dentist and maybe kind of have some walls up about that, right? And then just one of the Bay areas we had done. So this one was kind of interesting. We actually worked in some acoustical panels, just some designs there, and then kind of went over the top with some of the theming on the walls as well. And so just that kiddo there, lots to look at, lots to keep his mind and his eyes occupied while the work is being done.
Yeah, I love. Matter of fact, that was a conversation I had with actually a church yesterday. Was a large group space, and they're worried about the acoustics. And those panels can be themed like these are, and it really establishes. I mean, it helps with the overall, just the aesthetic in that room, and it's very functional. I was in this space after it was done, and when you walk in. It's really deadening. When you speak, I mean, and there's a lot of noise from those machines in those rooms, and man, it really absorbs that sound. So they're very effective.
Yeah. Well, and I think you nailed it, Todd. It's these acoustic panels, like, if you go to a lot of places, I mean, they do kind of stand out like sore thumbs a lot, but again, just picking that right color, if it's just going to be a fabric, they can be printed, they can be cut into some different sort of shapes. Now budget all kind of plays with all of that, right? But there's opportunities to again really make everything work together to enhance the experience.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, these are really, really well done, Kevin. And this is a really fun project too. I think you might have mentioned they actually have a Jeep, the front of a Jeep. The dentist there is actually he's a big Jeeper, and that was a fun project.
For sure. Hey, so just real quick, so I pulled in this. I think it's funny. You kind of started the conversation with, this idea of kind of the bare sterile walls, right? And obviously they got some subtle things going on here, which is great, and I think it would be a good and a nice experience, right? But just even in the hallways, and I think a lot of times people think it's one of two extremes of if you're going to do something with your space, it's either this or it's pretty sterile, pleasant but sterile, and kind of okay. Or it's like, well, working with somebody like Wow or another theming company, it's that other direction of there are going to be colors everywhere. It's going to be obnoxious. It's going to be over the top, crazy. And so, those are kind of the two extremes. But I guess, I just wanted to pull this up real fast. And, we're really passionate about, especially now with trends nowadays, like it isn't a lot of times like crazy over the top colors everywhere sort of experience. I mean, that doesn't necessarily do a whole lot to ease anxiety a lot of times for kids, and especially mom and dad, right? So, just kind of even going in here and, just intentional pops of colors are great opportunities to, let me do this real fast. I'm looking at some of these bay walls coming off. If I were just to add some pops of color here.
While you're doing that, we talk about often, and you bring this up a lot when we're meeting with clients, is, let's leverage and use the cool architectural features that you have in your space, and specifically here. Yeah, I mean, just looking in the hallway, you can see just some touches of color and what that does based upon, the layout of their space.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so, even doing some prints here, or these might be opportunities to do something, or I don't know, we're kind of doing kind of beach sort of theme. So, these would be opportunities maybe to, even do kind of big portholes or something on the wall. Just something fun without going crazy. It might be your opportunity to, inside the porthole is where you'd have the murals, maybe of the fish or whatnot, kind of looking out. Yeah,
If you're, I was going to say, if you're just joining us, we're wrapping up our conversation today about really the focus and the attention and the details of theming bays and hallways of a pediatric dental office. So we focused on establishing the look and feel in the lobby, really starting with a budget in mind. What does that look like? And a lot of times the question inevitably comes up with, hey, what do these things cost? We want to find out what their budget. Those are all things we talk through. And if you're, watching this and you're a pediatric dentist saying, you know what, we'd love to do something like this in our space. It doesn't cost a dime to have a conversation with our team just to begin to dream. I always like to say dreaming is free. And let's dream together. Let's talk about, what it would look like to partner with us, as well as there's a lot of strategy involved in the strategic conversations around intentionally placed designs that Kevin referenced. So again, you can email us at hello@worldsofwow.com, and then one of our team members will reach out to you. And let's begin to dream. We have themed so many pediatric dental offices around the country. We do a lot of dental offices that have multiple locations, and we have a lot of partnerships that do that. And one of the cool things about Worlds of Wow is all of our designs are unique. You're not going to look like the pediatric dentist down the street. You can't buy. We make out of a catalog because it's a unique design specifically for your space, because we understand how competitive that market truly is. So you can see just with some time, a few moments here, Kevin, literally transformed this whole space. And man, what a difference that makes. I love the wayfinding that you put there, Kevin. That's also pretty cool as well.
Yep. Well, and I think that's something we find really important with a lot of our projects is sometimes kiddos, not even anxiety, but just cognitive sort of issues. And so telling that kiddo that, look, we're gonna be headed down to Green Bay 02, like cognitively, he's got it, he's good, he knows where he's going. Yep. That's a big part of what happens a lot of times too. So like directional signage, environmental graphics, huge opportunities to help kiddos of all abilities.
I was just thinking about this. Every time I seem like I go to the doctor and I get back, where all the rooms are, or even the dentist, and I think, okay, how do I get out of here? They're like, all right, you're done. And doctors and dentists are like, oh yeah, they're gonna know where to go. And I've probably been there, I don't know, 20 times. I'm like, okay, do I go right? Do I go left? Yep. It's even having some signage outside of a room saying exit this way would be super helpful. Or maybe they have the exit, but it's a sign that's this big and you can't even read it. So speaking of that, those bay signage, man, they're big and bold, and they give clear direction. And I typically don't have much anxiety when I go to those spaces, but I'm like, where am I going at the end? And usually I have to like, hey, how do we get out of here? Just a little bit of more intention in those spaces would really help. And we could certainly help any office and any dental office, pediatric dental office that, with those directional signages, with the directional signage as well.
Yep, exactly. Perfect. Well, there we go.
Excellent, Kevin. Yeah, this is great. Again, if you're watching us, Kevin Cravens, man, he's a master at what he does. He's got an incredible team as well. We're approaching 1,000 projects at Worlds of Wow, and so we have a lot of experience. 17 years under our belt. If you're looking to transform your space, look no further. Reach out to our team, and we can do an amazing job for you. Thanks again for joining us here, and man, we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.